The Toronto Raptors could have had the best offer in the Damian Lillard sweepstakes, especially if they would have included OG Anunoby in the deal. So, how did the player end up on the Milwaukee Bucks? Was it Masai Ujiri who pulled out of the deal, or was it Dame who said no to Toronto? There might be something that you're not noticing about this whole situation, and I'm going to reveal it in today's video. Let's get into it. If you enjoy Toronto Raptors content, then you're going to love Amateur Hour Sports because it is all Toronto Raptors all the time with our videos, live streams, and shorts. So get yourself subscribed to the channel today and help me on my road to 16,000 subscribers, and drop a like if you find yourself enjoying this video along the way. But this is going to be the final video, likely, where we're discussing Damian Lillard and his possible potential, almost maybe, trade to the Toronto Raptors on this channel. I didn't really want to do this video, but this is mostly in response to the whole discourse going on about the Raptors and their involvement in this whole Damian Lillard saga that would transpired over the last few weeks. Basically, the last week or so when the Damian Lillard trade talks really revved up, and then the links with Damian Lillard to the Toronto Raptors really started to rev up, and it became more and more apparent that other teams were becoming suitors for Damian Lillard, the Toronto Raptors included. In fact, some people would have hinted that the Raptors were front runners. Some NBA executives hinted that the Raptors were front runners to make this trade happen and get Damian Lillard in a Toronto Raptors uniform, but ultimately they got outbid in this whole situation, and Dame, of course, ended up on the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, we had the full reaction to that trade right after it happened, and we had the breakdown after the fact, analyzing the new information that was the Toronto Raptors refused to offer OG Anunoby in this deal. And had they offered OG Anunoby, then they would not have had anybody who could have matched the offer. Ultimately, the centerpiece in the trade was Jrue Holiday, who the Trailblazers did a pretty good job of flipping for even more assets, but with the age of OG Anunoby being more on his side and more in line with what the Portland Trailblazers are trying to do, it is a high possibility that OG would have been the priority to receive in a trade rather than Jrue Holiday. But ultimately, as we saw, the Raptors were unwilling to offer OG in a trade, and with OG on an expiring contract, and I would say based on the situation right now, the extension that we can offer him is $29.7 million a year. I believe he's going to get more than that in free agency in 1 year. There's really no reason for OG not to test free agency next summer, and when there is a lineup of teams trying to get his signature at that time, there's a possibility we have a repeat of the Fred VanVleet situation where the Raptors get priced out and the player who is of high value walks away completely for free. And Masai Ujiri in today's media day for the Raptors addressed a little bit of the Fred VanVleet situation and owned up to the fact that they had an opportunity to get some value out of Fred VanVleet and didn't at the trade deadline, and ultimately, once again, lost a player for absolutely nothing in free agency. My fear in this whole situation is that that is going to be the repeat fate of OG, and we had a perfect opportunity to not have that happen by moving the player to the Trailblazers and also acquiring a player like Damian Lillard, a superstar player who really vaulted us into a top-tier competitiveness in the Eastern Conference, which at the time was a little bit weak. As of now, the Bucks have strengthened dramatically. The Celtics have now strengthened dramatically. The big trade doesn't make sense, but we could have alleviated that. We could have circumvented the possibility of other teams getting better by making this trade, but the Raptors decided not to add OG in the deal. But what exactly did they add in the deal? What exactly were the Toronto Raptors willing to offer? There's been a couple of conflicting reports, but the one that I find a little bit more trustworthy is that the Raptors were willing to offer none of Siakam, Barnes, or Anunoby, but they were willing to offer Gary Trent Jr. along with recent 13th overall pick Grady Dick, Preston Chua, and other accompanying salary filler and draft picks to match what everybody else was trying to offer, which ultimately seemed like it was going to be the 2028 first-round pick and the 2030 first-round pick. So not having Barnes, Anunoby, or Siakam in the deal, how are the Raptors really expecting this one to get done? Some people in my comments believe that still with Gary Trent Jr., the Raptors had the best offer available. Yeah, I don't see it that way. Jrue Holiday is a much better player than Gary Trent Jr., and he turned into some great assets that the Boston Celtics sent over to the Blazers. So Portland took the correct deal in terms of valuation in this one. Gary Trent was not the best deal in place to land the player. But once again, the Raptors had an opportunity to add in OG to this deal, but didn't. Now they face the possibility of the player with sensational value walking away for completely nothing in the offseason. In one of my previous videos, I suggested that if OG does walk away for free when there was a very good chance to make a great trade and use him to get Damian Lillard, that is a fireable fence as far as the front office is concerned. Like if OG walks away for free, that might be the final straw for me with this front office. If he walks away and we get absolutely no value for the player, not to mention that Siakam is also an upcoming free agent, as is Gary Trent Jr., unless extensions get done before that point. So that caused a bit of an uproar with people watching the videos, commenting on the videos. So I wanted to take this opportunity to rebuttal the most popular theory as to why the Raptors did not offer OG Anunoby in this deal. The Raptors clearly had intent on trading for Dame. In fact, Masai Ujiri even cited that today in the media day press conference where he said, like, we have ambitions. There was a reason that we were mentioned so prominently in these Damian Lillard trade rumors. The Raptors wanted to get something done. Masai Ujiri was being a little bit aggressive, not even close to aggressive enough, but he wanted to get Dame. He wanted to acquire Dame. He wants to be a competitive team. He wants to make the Raptors a winning team. So there was intent from the Raptors to acquire Dame, to win games this season, and to be aggressive. But the most popular theory as to why OG was not included in the deal was that Damian Lillard said no. Damian Lillard did not want to go to Toronto. In fact, there was a soft report that suggested that Dame was only willing to open up a trade route possibility because he figured that the Miami thing was done. Portland were not going to do business with Miami. It looked like it got personal between Miami and Portland. Dame was willing to open that up to go to either Milwaukee or Brooklyn. That's a soft report. There's a possibility that having seen the team that would have been in place here, there could have been a desire to play in Toronto as well. But regardless of all of that is irrelevant to the conversation because maybe Dame would have said no to Toronto. And of course, Masai Ujiri, I sincerely hope, would have confirmed that and spoken to Dame before pulling the trigger on confirming this trade. If there was a trade in place, if Portland were ready to accept the deal, and Masai then went to Dame and had a conversation about Toronto, did he want to play here? Would he want to play here? And Dame flat out said no, he was not going to report, then fair enough. You pull out of the deal at that point. But the fact that the Raptors were willing to offer Gary Trent, essentially 3 first-round picks, if you include Grady Dick in that, as well as salary filler, valuable pieces, valuable draft picks, sacrificing a lot of the future. If Masai was willing to offer that, he was willing to take the chance on Damian Lillard wanting or not wanting to come to Toronto. So the whole negotiation, the whole discussion that I'm seeing in my comment section that Dame did not want Toronto, that's irrelevant to this discussion because Masai Ujiri made it clear his intentions when he offered Gary Trent Jr., along with the 3 first-round picks, including Grady Dick, and he made it clear at the press conference that he was trying to make a deal happen for Damian Lillard. So the fact that Dame, there was all these discussions, reports that I think were overblown, that he did not want to play anywhere but Miami, clearly he ended up on Milwaukee, I think all of those reports were overblown, and that does not excuse the fact that Masai had the golden chance to get a player on a longer-term, higher security deal like Damian Lillard and not have to worry about OG Anunoby's contract while also drastically improving the team in a weaker Eastern Conference. As a result, Milwaukee got way better by acquiring Damian Lillard, and as a result, the Boston Celtics got way better by acquiring Drew Holiday. So now there's a two-headed monster at the top of the Eastern Conference. They were already by far and away, in my opinion, the best 2 teams in the East. Now even more so, and they're going to be, if we get a series between those 2 in the playoffs, that's going to be highly entertaining, but it just makes the gap that the Raptors need to reach to get back into contention that much more difficult. And there was an opportunity in place once again to make this trade happen. I believe have the best offer on the table, but Toronto refused. Toronto refused not because Damian Lillard said no. That never came up. Masai tried to make this trade happen. This is what people are not realizing here. If Masai was worried about Dame playing in Toronto, he would not have offered the trade that he did. Clearly, that wasn't a factor that was bothering him. Clearly, he was going to work it out with Damian Lillard because if he was worried, he would not have offered all of these great pieces. And in the conflicting report that has other trade suggestions, it would have been basically salary filler plus 3 first-round picks and 2 pick swaps to make this trade happen. Masai wanted to get this deal done, but clearly not enough to offer OG Anunoby. Damian Lillard and where he wanted to end up was not a deterrence or a hindrance of that fact. So once again, I will reiterate, if we had the opportunity to move OG and didn't, and we end up losing a player of that value for free, it is a massive indictment against the front office and very likely grounds to find a new one. What do you think of this whole situation? Do you think the Raptors should have offered OG Anunoby? Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below, because that's it for me for today. Drop a like if you enjoyed, subscribe for more content from Amateur Sports, and I'll see you again very soon for another video tomorrow. Talk about Malcolm Brogdon's potential trade to the Raptors.